Hey everybody, Morley Scott along with Dave Campbell. CFL free agency will hit tomorrow, 10 a.m. our time. Teams still have some work to do if they want to sign their own free agents. They can do that up until then they're free game. The Eskimos have done a pretty good job signing most of their free agents, led by Odell Willis, the big signing last week. They've signed a few other guys as well, Dave, but they still have three guys who started games for them last year out there that are free agents and probably going to hit the market tomorrow.
Yeah, linebacker Rennie Curran, also running back slash receiver slash kick returner, the jack of all trades, Kendall Lawrence, and Chris Rabakamba, who split time at safety with Ryan Hines. So those are three names that really top what's left on the Eskimos' 2015 free agent list.
And they have more than that, but those are the three guys who started for the Eskimos last year at some point. Around the Canadian Football League, although Brett Jones looks like he's going to go to the NFL, and that deal will be made official momentarily, I'm sure. But he's a big name that's off the market around the CFL. But there still are some pretty big names out there that teams are taking a look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kevin Glenn obviously comes to mind, a quarterback who has played some good football, not necessarily last year for the BC Lions. There was a lot of instability within that organization as far as their offense goes. But he played really well for the Calgary Stampeders. Also, another free agent name that played for the BC Lions is Ernest Jackson. Then after that, gets a little bit thinner. That's the problem when the free agent list gets announced in early December. Teams have over 2 months to sign them. But there are some big names that are still out there. There's a lot of receivers. Jason Barnes, former Eskimo. Aaron Kelly of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. On the defensive side, Brian Peters, who was the tackle leader for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's a very good linebacker. So there is some good quality out there. As far as star power goes, most of them are gone.
And how interested will the Eskimos be in some of those players and other players? Well, it depends on I think, what happens with the guys they have to sign. Let's first address the offensive line, which we seem to address every year at this point with the Eskimos. They've lost Matt O'Donnell, who was signed with the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL. They have to replace him at guard, and there is a few names out there.
Yeah, there is, and the list is more prominent when it comes to import linemen. You have Stanley Bryant out there, Sir Vincent Rogers, and Glenn January, but they're more tackles than their imports. I think the Eskimos are pretty happy with their imports. When you look at the available O-linemen, when you look at the guard position or center position, Alexander Krosnick comes to mind, and he's someone that the Eskimos lost in the expansion draft to Ottawa, and that kind of surprised them, and that kind of hurt. I remember general manager Ed Hervey talking about, we didn't expect to lose this player, so he could be in play. There's also Dan Clark, who played at right guard for the Saskatchewan Roughriders last season when Chris Best, the regular starter, went down. He might be someone that would be maybe a fit in Edmonton.
I don't think you can rule out signing Rennie Curran to come back as a linebacker. He wants to explore NFL opportunities, but he'll start taking offers, I'm sure, from CFL teams tomorrow as well. He may re-sign with the Eskimos, but if he doesn't, and even if he wants to delay the process, the Eskimos still have to go out there and spend that money and fill that position, whether it's him or someone else.
I'm not sure if they can find that in free agency, because Brian Peters is the biggest name out there. There's also Marcellus Bowman, who played for the Hamilton Tiger Cats last season, but can they play middle linebacker? Or is this something that Ed Hervey's going to have to try and trade for, or are they just going to have to go through the free agent process and bring in a rookie and see if they can find a way to fill the void in that way? So it's not as clear in the linebacker
and
position.
Not officially on the free agent list, but released last week by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers was their middle linebacker, Ejiro Kowali. So he might be in the mix as well, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, the Eskimos have J.C. Sherritt, which is a pretty excellent fallback at the middle linebacker position. All right, running back. Receiver, Kendall Lawrence. They can sign him, and I don't know where the negotiations are standing right now, but if they can't, they got to go out and they got to fill a few spots. I mean, he's a running back, he's a receiver, and he also made an impact returning balls too.
Well, I think it would hurt the Eskimos more in the running back situation, because he was the backup running back to John White. So the Eskimos would be a little thin as far as their depth goes in the running back, so it would hurt them the most. The kick returner side of things, they do have two players still on their roster that can do the job, and Jamal Miles and Patrick Robertson, the receiver who got hurt in week 2 or week 3, I believe, and he was near the top of the stats as far as kick returns and yardage in the CFL before he ripped his knee up. As far as the receiver position goes, I'm kind of wondering where the Eskimos' mindset. There are some available receivers that I think could help the Eskimos. I mentioned Ernest Jackson. I mentioned Aaron Kelly. Another one is Wallace Miles out of Ottawa. Maybe Jason Barnes could factor back into the mix here. But when you lose a Kendall Lawrence, who was the jack of all trades here, You want that versatility, and the Eskimos will lose a lot of versatility if they did lose Campbell Lawrence. Hopefully that's not the case, but this free agent year is not as clear as past free agent years for the Eskimos. It's a little muddy about how they do fill their needs, and I don't know if they can get everything done in free agency.
All right, the clock is ticking on teams who want to sign their own free agents. They have until 10 a.m. Edmonton time tomorrow. After that, they're on the open market. We'll have complete details as the day moves along tomorrow right here at 630ched.com.